I was just a kid back then, maybe 12 or 13, living in an old, creaky, two-story house on the edge of a quiet suburb. Our house had a strange little room tucked away at the back of the first floor, wedged between the kitchen and the backyard. My parents called it the extra living room. But to us kids, it was more like a forgotten space. There was a worn-out leather recliner, a small wooden table, and a beat-up sofa that no one ever sat on. No decorations, no television, just dust and silence. One cold winter morning, I woke up with a sore throat and a slight fever. My mom let me stay home from school and told me to rest. My dad had already left for work, and my siblings were at school, so the house was completely mine, empty and quiet, with only the hum of the heater and the soft creaking of old wood. Around 10:30 a.m., I started feeling hungry. As I stepped out of my room and began heading toward the kitchen, I felt watched. It was like something was breathing down the back of my neck. But when I turned, there was nothing. I walked into the kitchen, and I froze. A man, tall and lanky, easily 6 feet or more, was standing in the middle of the kitchen. His clothes were torn and filthy, his hair a tangled mess. His skin looked pale and sickly. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just stared at me, wide-eyed, lips slightly parted, as if whispering something I couldn't hear. We stood like statues. 5 seconds. 10. It felt like hours. Then I snapped out of it and bolted upstairs, heart hammering, breath caught in my throat. I slammed the door shut, locked it, and shoved a heavy dresser in front of it. I fumbled for my phone and, instead of calling 911, I called my mom, screaming that there was a man in the house, that he was trying to kill me. She told me to stay locked in and call the police. So I did. 15 minutes later, I watched from my bedroom window as the police arrived. I rushed out to meet them, shaking, pale and desperate. They swept through the house and found nothing. No sign of forced entry, no broken windows, no strange men. My parents returned soon after, furious that the intruder had vanished. Just as the officers were wrapping up, one of them paused near the side room, that old, unused one. He noticed a crumpled Walmart bag sticking out from under the sofa. Curious, he pulled the couch away and recoiled. The smell hit us first. Rot, urine, filth. Beneath the sofa was a nest of decay. Dozens of trash bags, fast food wrappers, half-drunk water bottles, tissues from our own house, and a plastic bag filled with what could only be human waste. The officer turned to us and said grimly, "Someone's been living under here for a while." Weeks, they estimated. That man, that thing, had been hiding under our couch for days, or maybe even longer, watching us, breathing the same air, existing just inches beneath our feet. Somehow, he never made a sound. Somehow, we never noticed the smell. That room is gone now. My dad tore it apart, gutted it, and turned it into a breakfast nook with hard wooden chairs, no sofas, no hiding spots. But me? I still dream about it. I still see those eyes in the dark, wide, silent, unblinking, and wonder what would have happened if I had taken one more step that morning. I used to think I wasn't easily scared. Back then, I was a tough teenager, big, broad-shouldered, not afraid of much. I lived in a working-class neighborhood on the decline, where sirens, shouting, and the occasional fight were just part of the nightly soundtrack. It was a rainy weekend night. My parents were out of town at a wedding. My brother was working the night shift. That left just me and my aging beagle, Cecil, in the house. Cecil was lazy and slow, his bones creaky, and his bark almost non-existent. He didn't do much except eat scraps and sleep on my lap. That night, I was doing what I always did when I had the house to myself, playing games on the big screen television, devouring leftover pizza, and half watching reruns of Dragon Ball Z while the rain pattered outside. Then, around 1:20 a.m., I heard a loud bang from the back alley. I didn't flinch. In this city, weird noises come and go like the wind. But Cecil, he reacted. He bolted upright, ears perked, back arched. Then he growled low, guttural, unlike anything I'd ever heard from him. Without warning, he launched off the couch like a missile, sprinting toward the basement door. His barking was rabid, primal. It wasn't the bark of a dog, it was a warning. I followed him, heart pounding harder with every step. And then I heard it loud, metallic, and desperate. Bang, bang, bang. Someone was trying to force open our rusted basement door, the one that led directly to the alley. That door was barely used. It screeched even with a key. There was no way someone was just testing it. They wanted in. I ran to my bedroom and yanked the old wooden baseball bat from beneath my bed. When I got back to the stairs, Cecil tore past me again, barking like a demon. Then, it happened. Just before I reached the bottom step, I heard a man's voice, breathless and close. He muttered, "Oh." Then silence. The banging stopped. No footsteps, no retreating echo, just the rain and Cecil, frozen and snarling at the door. I didn't call the cops. I should have. Instead, I sat on the floor, gripping my bat until dawn. When my brother returned the next morning, I told him everything. He chuckled nervously and walked to the basement door. He gave it a tug. The entire door fell off the hinges. One more shove, one more second, and that man would have been inside the house. We never found out who he was, or what he wanted, or why Cecil, a dog too old to climb stairs, moved like a soldier on a mission that night. I still don't know how he knew, how he sensed something was wrong. But what I do know is this: that old lazy dog saved my life. I was 13 when it happened, and to this day I still don't know what I heard, or what almost lured me into the dark. That night, a violent thunderstorm rolled across our town. We lived in a rural stretch of Tornado Alley, where storms meant real danger. Because I was such a heavy sleeper, my dad always had me sleep in his room downstairs during bad weather. It was just after midnight, 12:43 a.m. to be exact. The wind howled, and rain slammed against the house like fists. I was curled up with my phone, watching YouTube with one headphone in, trying to ignore the storm. Then, I heard it. A low, vibrating bass. The kind that shakes windows. My dad's car stereo. It was unmistakable. He always blasted that ridiculous subwoofer when he pulled into the driveway. Relieved, I sat up. He must have gotten home from his shift early. I waited for the familiar creak of the front door, for his heavy work boots to stomp down the stairs. But nothing happened. No door, no footsteps, just the storm. I walked to the window facing the driveway, expecting to see his car. But there was nothing. The driveway was empty. Just rain and wind. I stood there, heart starting to race. Maybe I imagined it? A car on the highway? But then I heard his cough. The deep, raspy one I'd grown up hearing. It came from the garage, attached directly to the room I was in. My stomach dropped, because I never heard the garage door open. I froze. Something felt wrong, like the air had thickened around me. A few minutes later, over the pounding thunder, I heard a voice, soft, familiar, calling my name. "Hey, come up here." It was my dad's voice, almost. But something was off. The tone was too flat, too calm for a storm like this. And the way it echoed through the house felt artificial, like a recording being played just a little too slowly. I turned to look at my dog, who lay beside me. He didn't even lift his head. No reaction at all. I stayed frozen on the bed, holding my breath. The voice called again. "Come upstairs." I didn't move, didn't speak. I just closed my eyes and lay as still as I could until the storm passed and I somehow drifted into sleep. At 4 a.m., I woke up in a cold sweat and ran to the window. This time, my dad's car was really there. I bolted upstairs, told him everything. He laughed it off at first until I told him about the cough. About the voice. We checked the garage. Nothing was disturbed, but I knew what I heard. Something was in the house that night. Something that could imitate my dad's voice almost perfectly. I still sleep downstairs during storms, but now I keep my door locked. And if I ever hear someone calling my name again,